Welcome to Chase Talks. My name's Chase, and I'm bringing you another analysis for one of our Let's Learn VGC 2018 teams. In this video, I'm going to be talking about our Kanto Starter Team. It's going to be my analysis, and then I put tips and tricks on there because I'm going to give you guys also improvement ideas to help you build more VGC teams, more doubles format teams, and kind of give you other things, replacements for Pokemons, things like that. It's really similar to the Triple Dragon video that I did. I think I did it last week or a little bit over a week ago. But this was the second team we used in our Let's Learn VGC series. The next team after that was our Christmas team. I'm not doing an analysis of that team, because it wasn't it was full meme. This team had a lot of meme in it, but that was full meme. So not really turning that one legit. I'm not going to talk about that. And then the next team after that was a fully requested team, which I will do an analysis of. So hopping real quick into the first Pokemon of our analysis, the first Pokemon that we used was our Mega Charizard-Y, which was our Blaze. It's got the Mega Charizardite Y, of course, as its item. Its ability is Blaze when it's not Mega Evolved. Mega Evolved, its ability was Drought. Its moves were Overheat, Heat Wave, Solar Beam, and Protect. I decided to run a more bulky Charizard Y. Oh man, excuse me. Opting for not as much in speed as I would normally, like a 252 in speed. So I didn't speed tie those base 100s. Rather, I ran 188 in speed. What the 188 speed allowed me to do was outspeed with the Timid Nature a Jolly Landorus T. So Jolly max speed Landorus T. I was outspeeding that, and that's as much as I felt like I needed. I had 60 points in HP, then 4 points in defense, 4 points in special defense, with 252 points in special attack, offering us that offensive pressure. Now, the things I really liked and disliked about this Pokemon, I really liked that it had the bulkier EVs. I really think the bulkier EVs saved me in a lot of cases. Like, there were cases that I feel like I should have died, but I didn't. Like, I think I lived atop of Coco, like, Thunderbolt at one point, and I thought that was going to kill me. Things like that. Like, I think that normal Charizard would not have lived those attacks, and I think those extra 60 points in HP was what made the difference. And, of course, the one extra point, in defense and special defense could have made a little difference, but of course the 60 points in HP I feel like made the biggest difference, and was really the difference probably in me winning and losing some of the matches with this team. It was also a very strong offensive threat. The 252 in special attack made it a super hard offensive hitter. When you paired that with the overheat, the heat wave, and the solar beam, it gave it 3 strong, hard-hitting offensive coverage. Plus, I really liked Heat Wave a lot. Its ability to spread that spread damage. It really, like, if I Heat Waved and then I would target another Pokemon with my other Pokemon, I usually got to kill that turn. Like, if Venusaur attacked a Pokemon and Charizard Heat Waved, I usually got to kill that turn. So I really liked that about the Mega Charizard Y. And I'm going to be treating this team as you'll see in the other options too, when I talk about those, I'm treating this team as a Sun team. When I built this team, I started with Mega Charizard Y and Venusaur as a Sun core, and then I added the rest of the Pokemon later. So I really built this team to be a Sun team. It kind of not shaped out to be a Sun team, because the other 4 Pokemon I added to it really didn't complement the Sun that well. But I decided to add the Blastoise because I wanted all 3 Kanto starters, but I really wanted to make a Sun team. So I'm going to be treating this as a Sun team because that's what I wanted. So the things and that moves us straight into our dislikes, because one of the big things that I didn't dislike, which is actually my second thing in the dislikes, but I'll talk about it first, was its delayed Sun. So the turn I Mega Evolved, Drought would go up, but Venusaur wouldn't get the speed boost until the following turn. So the delay in Sun, not having Sun be on Charizard's entry, was hurtful in a lot of games. And also its speed tier, since I didn't run max speed, not like being outsped by base 100s, other Pokemon that I normally speed tie with, being always outsped by them, or base, like, because I was outspeeding base 95, I think Landorus T is, if I'm remembering that correctly. I could be remembering that wrong. So like a base 97 would outspeed me, things like that. So it's just like I felt like it was lacking a little bit in the speed. The bulk I definitely liked. I don't know if I would necessarily change the bulk, but I would definitely see that 252 special attack, 252 speed as being a viable option for Charizard Y in the future. And that's actually what I have on our other options for Charizard Y, is doing 252 in special attack, 252 in speed. You can run with a modest nature or timid nature, either or. It depends on what speed tier you want to hit. Of course, if you ran that with a modest nature, I think you're going to be slower. Yeah, you're going to be slower than my timid one, but you'll still be pretty fast. and the Modest will make you hit a little bit harder. Timid will be if you want to be as fast as possible. Another thing I disliked about this Pokemon was that it had no guaranteed fire hit. Overheat had a chance of missing. Heat Wave had a chance of missing. The only guaranteed hit that I had on this Pokemon was Solar Beam. So every single time I Heat Waved, every single time I overheated, I chanced to miss. But Overheat gave me a strong one. I loved Overheat because it gave me a strong hit on one Pokemon, even though I took the -2, which sucked when I took the -2. And then Heat Wave guaranteed or shot that I hit both of them. I had a chance to hit each Pokemon, but that was just a chance. So I had a chance to hit. I had a chance to miss both of those hits. So I didn't like that. Another option could be instead of Overheat to run Flamethrower. I wouldn't change Heat Wave. I should have put Heat Wave under likes because I would not change Heat Wave. I would always run Mega Charizard-Y with Heat Wave. So in these other three options, I would replace Overheat, and I'd still run Solar Beam too. I didn't use Solar Beam that much. The times I used it, I felt like it was worth bringing it all the time. So I would definitely bring Heat Wave, then and Solar Beam. So your third slot options besides the Protect, Flamethrower could be a good replacement for Overheat. Tailwind. I'm going to talk a lot in this video about Tailwind. I think Tailwind is very, very good, especially with these teams. With weather teams are meant to be speedy. As you can see in my fully requested team, if you watch those videos, there were teams where I'd face weather, I would set Tailwind, and then all of a sudden I'd be outspeeding their weather sweepers and killing their weather sweepers and killing the weather-setted Pokemon. So I was neutralizing their weather with Tailwind. So if I have Tailwind and I have weather, I'm now neutralizing those threats. It would also boost things like Venusaur's viability outside the sun. So if Charizard went down, I couldn't reset the sun. I would still have the ability to outspeed things. It would increase its viability, and it would increase the viability of my other picks, like Mega Altaria, and I actually put Mega Altaria with Tailwind. I don't think Mega Altaria was the best Tailwinding option. I put Mega Altaria on this team because it was requested, and I wanted to put it on this team because it was requested, but I'm going to bring it again on a different team eventually because I didn't feel like I did a good job at showing it off because it was really on the back burner for this team. And the requested Pokemon, the Pokemon that you ask me to use, aren't supposed to be on the back burner. They're supposed to be a core Pokemon. That's what I said when I said I was going to take requests. I'll take requests. I'll put the Pokemon in the core. They will be one of my most used Pokemon. That's what I said, and I didn't do that with Mega Altaria, so I will build another team and redo that request with Mega Altaria, and try and use Mega Altaria in a different format. I know Mega Altaria can be good. It was not the best fit for this team. The more and more I used it, I talked about it a lot in the video, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I definitely don't think it was the best. Another option that you can run on this is Hidden Power Ground. I loved running a sneaky Hidden Power Ground on my, oh gosh, what Pokemon was that? On my Triple Dragon team. I don't remember what Pokemon that was, but it was a sneaky Hidden Power Ground. Oh, on my, it was my Mega Ampharos. My Mega Ampharos run a Hidden Power Ground. It was a sneaky Hidden Power Ground, so I could kill Tapu Kokos, things like that. They wouldn't expect me to do it, and especially if I could catch them on switch in. I thought they were going to switch in. That was huge. I got a lot of kills with Hidden Power Ground. I definitely think Hidden Power Ground would be a good option with Charizard for the same thing. Tapu Koko is huge in this format. You see a ton of Tapu Kokos in doubles. And in singles, actually, too. Tapu Koko is just a generally good Pokemon. And adding that ground coverage for the Tapu Kokos to shut those down also works really well. It also is good for like things like Tyranitar, stuff like that. Though you do have the Solar Beam for Tyranitar. Tyranitar is weak to ground, or is weak to grass. So you already have the Solar Beam coverage for that. So Tyranitar is not as big of a threat, but it does give you another option to hit it. So what are other options that I could run as a Sun Setter besides Mega Charizard-Y? I liked Mega Charizard-Y. Mega Charizard-Y is very good in doubles format. I'm not saying it's bad, but what are other options that I could run? So the biggest option that I think you could run is Torkoal. Torkoal also gives you anti-Trick Room options. You don't need speed in Torkoal, so you can actually run a Relaxed Nature and run defensive Torkoal. And that Relaxed Nature with min speed IVs will make you ensure that you go last. Torkoal's a very slow Pokemon, and it'll give you that extra like oomph to get off the ground at that point. It also has things like Eruption, Lava Plume. It has a good move set, and yeah, I actually like Torkoal a lot. Torkoal can do really well. It was the premier Sunsetter in VGC 2017. What was the only Sunsetter in VGC 2017? Actually, there's not that many Pokemon that get Drought. Looking at these and looking at for replacement, it's actually kind of hard to find replacements for Mega Charizard-Y because there's really not that many options. Like Torkoal and Ninetales are two really your only droughting options. And that's why Ninetales is the second one on this list. Ninetales is a lesser used Pokemon, but it is a strong Pokemon in the sun. It's not as strong as Alola Ninetales is in the hail, but it's definitely a strong option. I would definitely say Ninetales would be a good hail. It is a good hail sweeper, Alola Ninetales is, but regular Ninetales is definitely a good sun sweeper. It, like Mega Charizard-Y, can also be an abuser of its own sun. Torkoal can too, but Torkoal's main job is to set the sun for another Pokemon, for your Venusaurs, your Lilligans, things like that. Ninetales is an option to be another sun abuser like Mega Charizard-Y. You can totally have Ninetales and Venusaur sit next to each other and have them both abuse the sun and have them both lay down massive damage, which was actually the concept of Mega Charizard-Y. If I wanted to have something that would replace Mega Charizard-Y that I feel like would be almost a one-for-one replacement, that would be the Ninetales. Because they both, I feel like Ninetales and Charizard Y both do the same thing and they both do it really well. I feel like Charizard Y does it better. It's a Mega Evolution, so of course it does it way better, but it does. Another option is Manual Sun, which means you have to click Sunny Day. Now, I would recommend Mega Charizard Y, Torkoal, which Mega Charizard Y is basically the same as Manual Sun, but it allows you to switch back in and get the sun up right away. Torkoal and Ninetales above Cresselia, but Cresselia is the next option and is a good Manual Sun setter. It has the ability to click Sunny Day. You can also run things like Trick Room, stuff like that. We actually saw a game that I posted with my fully requested team where it was Lurantis, Cresselia sitting next to each other. The Cresselia set Trick Room, and then it set a Sunny Day so that Lurantis wouldn't have to charge Solar Blade, which was a really good combo. I think I ended up winning that game anyway, but that was a strong combo. I definitely didn't expect it, and even though that Cresselia was kind of taunt bait, it did leave itself up to be, it did have a really strong set on its hands. Cresselia is also a Pokemon that doesn't have to run Protect, and because it can run 4 really good moves, and it's a very bulky Pokemon. You can run Especially Defense Cresselia, Physically Defense Cresselia. A lot of options. Especially Defense is better, but there's a lot of different options you can do there. Cresselia is just an all-around good Pokemon, and if you're going to run a manual Sun team where you're manually setting the Sun, Cresselia I feel like would be your best option, but there are other manual Sun setters that you can use. The next Pokemon on our team was the Venusaur, the Battletoad, which I have talked about some, but it's our Grassium Z. Chlorophyll was its ability. It was our main Sun abuser. It was our only Sun abuser, actually, besides Mega Charizard Y. But it was our only Sun sweeper, I guess I should say, rather than abuser. Its moves are Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, Hidden Power, Ice, and Protect. Now, it had really good overall move diversity with those 3 moves. Hidden Power, Ice was the hit Landorus tease. Sludge Bomb was our Tapu killer. Then I opted for Giga Drain just because the Giga Drain allowed me to heal. It was my form of recovery, so if I took hits, I could heal the next turn. I could heal the next turn. So I was 252 in special attack, 252 in speed, 4 points in special defense with a modest nature. I opted for the modest nature instead of the instead of the timid nature, not jolly. Instead of for the timid nature, I didn't really think that extra speed points was worth when the sun was doubling my speed, because it turned my 132 speed into a 264 speed. So I was very fast. I was faster than things like Tapu Koko, stuff like that. There were Scarf Pokemon, of course, that could outspeed me. But other than that, I was faster than most normal Pokemon, non-Scarf. So the modest nature was definitely helped, and I feel like I needed the modest nature to get some kills that otherwise I would have missed out on. Sludge Bomb kills, Giga Drain kills, Hidden Power Ice kills. And Hidden Power Ice did fall short a lot against things like Landorus T. And things against Landorus T, basically. I don't know what else I was thinking, but it was basically Landorus T. It was Landorus T when it had Assault Vest, and Hidden Power Ice did nothing to it. I was really surprised how well Landorus T lived with Assault Vest. And I'm excited. I'm actually going to use it on an upcoming team. I'm not a big meta person, but I am going to use a meta combo on an upcoming team. Landorus T is involved with it. You guys can guess what's rest. For spoilers, the new team's going up tomorrow though, so there's only 1 day of spoilers before the new team comes up. So moving straight into our likes and dislikes, it was a super strong nuke, and it was really good against Sand. Now, these two kind of go together. Sand is super common. I've faced so many Japanese Sand teams and I know I've explained a ton what Japanese Sand is, but Japanese Sand is when you have a Sand Sweeper, like a Excadrill, or Landorus T can do well in the sand with Sand Force, or not Landorus T, Landorus I, and then you have Mega Salamence with a Scarf Tyranitar with Assurance. Now, Scarf Tyranitar still gets outsped by those 3 Pokemon when they're at max speed, but Insurance So Insurance still gets the double damage from Insurance being the second move that hits the Pokemon. It still gets the double damage. So I'm doing a really bad job at explaining this right now. But the Scarf Tyranitar makes sure it's the second Pokemon that on the field. So your fastest Pokemon on your team will go first. Scarf Tyranitar is going to go second. So if Mega Salamence on your team goes first, Scarf Tyranitar will go second because it gets outsped by Mega Salamence even when Scarfed. So Scarf Tyranitar or Mega Salamence goes first, hits it with like a Hyper Voice or a Double Edge, then Scarf Tyranitar hits it with an Assurance, gets the boosted damage on that, and it's really strong to fight. It's really good. I've played against it a few times on the channel. I might use it in an upcoming team. I might make a Japanese Sand team, but it's really good. The reason it's called Japanese Sand is because in 2015 it was the Sand team that was created by Japanese teams, by a Japanese team or a Japanese player was that pioneered it. It was coming out of Japan, which is why they call it Japanese Sand. I've heard a few different people call it Japanese Sand. So I've just been rolling with it too and figure that some people know what I'm talking about. I've explained it a bunch of times, but I just did want to explain what Japanese Sand means. Strong Nuke, going back to that, is that it is a Grassium Z gave it a super strong nuke. Now, there are the other options you can use for even a stronger nuke. You can use Solar Beam. Solar Beam, when you're in the sun, does not have to charge. It can just go. It can just shoot right away. It's very strong. It's another option to Giga Drain. You know I like to Giga Drain a lot. Growth is also another option. It'll boost you to +2. When you're in the sun, that's definitely a replacement, I would say, for Hidden Power Ice if you don't want to run Hidden Power Ice. I feel like you need like Sludge Bomb and Giga Drain. But you need Sludge Bomb for sure. You can run Giga Drain or Solar Beam. You can totally run Solar Beam Growth and Sludge Bomb with the Protect. The only problem with that is that that'd be a fully sun-based Venusaur, and you really got to watch yourself in that case because then your Venusaur doesn't have much options if your sun goes down because you really only have Sludge Bomb at that point. And if you face in Steel type, now you have no way to hit that Steel type at all. My dislike that I had for this Pokemon, and I did kind of go out of order a little bit because usually I say my dislike before I talk about other options because it kind of keeps good, bad, good. It was outsped the turn, and I've talked about this actually. I talked about this with Charizard. It was outsped during the turn without the boost. Without the Chlorophyll boost, it was outsped that turn. It's just 80 speed was kind of lackluster. 80 speed with 252 without the Timid Nature was very lackluster for general speed tiers that are in the meta right now. There's a lot of really fast Pokemon in the meta, and I was getting outsped by all of them in the turn I didn't have it. I a lot of times had to click Mega Evolve Protect and Protect to get the boost. There were times that I didn't do it, and I got Gigavolt Havoc'd and things like that on that first turn, and I was just losing my Venusaur when I shouldn't have lost my Venusaur. Or I was losing my Charizard when I shouldn't have lost my Charizard, because Venusaur should have outsped the other Pokemon and KO'd it. So other options that you could run instead of Venusaur, if you want a faster sweeper, you could run Lilligant. Lilligant was super popular in VGC 17. It was the premier Chlorophyll sweeper. And I actually think it was the only Chlorophyll sweeper, but it's very good. It has 90 base speed. It is especially offensive sweeper, just like Venusaur is. The 90 base speed compared to the 80 base speed, you're 10 points faster than Venusaur's. I still think that Lilligant's a good option that you can run. Victory Bell, if you want a physical one. Now, Victory Bell is slower than Venusaur. It's base 60 speed, I believe, or base 77. No, it's base 77. Base 77. I don't know why I said 60. Base 77 speed. It's slower than Venusaur. Not very much slower than Venusaur, but it actually has a huge physically offensive stat. It's 108 attack, physically offensive stat, so you can run good coverage on it. And it does give you an option for another Chlorophyll sweeper. Victory Bell you do not see as much as you'd see Venusaur or Lilligant, but I think that Victory Bell is a really good option. I might run another Sun team with Victory Bell on it. I want to use Victory Bell because I do think it gets overshadowed a lot, even though it is still a very strong offensive Sun sweeper, and it has the ability to do really well. Lurantis is another option for a Sun sweeper. Now, Lurantis does not get Chlorophyll. It gets, oh man, what's the name? Competitive, I think. Competitive? Competitive, I believe, because it's when your abilities, like when you're supposed to, yeah, I believe it's competitive. It's like if you superpower, instead of getting attack drop, you get an attack raise, things like that. So that's its that's what's big one. It can Leaf Storm, it can get the boost, it can superpower, and it can get boost. It's a lot like, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the Pokemon. Malamar. It's a lot like Malamar, as in Malamar can superpower and set up by superpowering the enemy. Lurantis can do that same thing. Lurantis also, while in the sun, does not have to charge Solar Blade. It gives you the option to run a very strong physically offensive Lurantis that can superpower to set itself up, or Sword Dance, and then Solar Blade every turn, just Solar Blade, Solar Blade, Solar Blade, Solar Blade, and it actually has the opportunity to also run leftovers, things like that. You could Choice Scarf it. I wouldn't recommend that you Choice Scarf it, but you could do that, or you could Band it. You could run Life Orb, things like that, if you want a more offensive Lurantis. But you can like max speed, max physical attack on this thing, set up with superpower and stuff like that, and or max HP, and you can set up with superpower, things like that. Lurantis is very bulky, and it has the ability to set up, and it does benefit from the sun as well. Another opportunity for the sun, which I've never seen paired with any other Pokemon. Of course, you could not pair this Pokemon with Mega Charizard. You have to pick another Pokemon on that slide, but that would be the Mega Houndoom. Mega Houndoom gets Solar Power, which even though it's going to get hurt every turn it's in the sun, it does get a special attack boost, giving it stronger viability in the sun. Now, I don't think I've ever seen someone run Mega Houndoom in the sun, but it does have that opportunity, and I feel like you could do well with the Mega Houndoom in the sun. That's why it's on the slide. It is the only non-grass type option. You could even run Cresselia, Mega Houndoom side by side, and you have the option to set the sun or not set the sun. So you could set the sun when you want that boost, and you could not set the sun when you don't need it. Mega Houndoom is also very fast. It has a high speed stat. When it Mega Evolves, its speed goes way up, and it has a very high special attack stat. I've seen this thing do really well in Draft League format and singles, and I believe it can do just as well in doubles. I actually feel like I'm going to build a Sun team with Mega Houndoom at some point, or build the Cresselia Houndoom combo. I'm probably going to use Houndoom at some point. I like the idea of running Houndoom. The next Pokemon that we had on our team was our Blastoise, which was our Donatello. The last version of this Donatello, which is the one I'm going to talk about, was our one with choice specs. It was Torrent ability, Hydro Pump, Aura Sphere, Ice Beam, and Dark Pulse. So it had very good coverage. It had a wide range of coverage option with a ice attack, a dark attack, a fighting ability attack, and a water attack. And when your HP got low, you got boosted Hydro Pumps. Hydro Pump, of course, had a chance to miss, but when it hit, it did really good. You also have the opportunity to replace that for Scald or Surf. Yeah, or Surf. And Surf hits everything too, so Surf's definitely an option that you could run as well. 244 in HP, 252 in special attack with a modest nature, and 12 points in special defense. And I'm going to move straight into my likes and dislikes of this Pokemon because it was a super strong hitting Pokemon and it was very bulky. It was rather bulky. After I changed it, I wasn't liking Scarf Blastoise at all. I hated the Scarf Blastoise. I think that you could do well with Scarf Blastoise, but it was just lacking so much in power, and there are better Scarfed Pokemon that I could have been using, better Scarfed Water types for sure than Blastoise. That I could have been using on the team, but I wanted to use Blastoise. I wanted to have all three Kanto starters. I wanted them on a team, and I wanted to be successful. I started playing Pokemon in Gen 1. I wanted to go back to my Gen 1 roots and use it. My big dislike on this team, and I usually try and make 2 dislikes, but on a couple Pokemon I could only have one thing, was Aura Sphere. I really did not like Aura Sphere. I felt like even like Tyranitar was 4 times weak to it, but it couldn't OHKO a Tyranitar, like 2-hit KO to Tyranitar, and if I hit it with an Aura Sphere, an Assurance Tyranitar and the Japanese Sand team would have already KO'd something, so it kind of left me with no options at that point. Other options you could run on this was Flash Cannon and Dragon Pulse. Then I also said Scald and Surf sooner. They're not on the page. They should be on the page, but you can definitely run Scald and Surf if you don't want to mess with Hydro Pump. And then Flash Cannon and Dragon Pulse are good options besides Aura Sphere. Or you could run any combination of those 4 instead of the Aura Sphere. You can definitely run Hydro Pump and Surf, or Hydro Pump and Scald if you just don't want to miss. You can definitely do that. All of them will be boosted with the choice specs. It's a very good combo. Other options that you could do besides Blastoise on this team. Suicune. Suicune is a very good offensive threat. It's very good at setting up, and it gets Tailwind. Tailwind isn't, like I was saying, talking about Tailwind a lot in this video. Tailwind is so important, and that's why Zapdos is on the slide too. It's another Tailwind setter, and it's not a water type. Zapdos also gets Heat Wave. Heat Wave will be boosted in the sun. It'll do more damage. It gives its ability to get boosted and also abuse the sun as well. You can run Thunderbolt on it, Tailwind. You can run like special defense, or not. You can run a bulky Zapdos, but I was thinking like max HP, max special attack. You can run a bulky Zapdos. You could run a defensive Zapdos on this, or special defensive Zapdos. There's a lot of different Zapdos sets you can run. It's a very good Tailwind setter. It's a fast Pokemon already. Even it's a base 100, so even though no speed points are put into it, it's already a very fast Pokemon. Zapdos and Suicune are 2 really good Tailwind setters. They could both work really good with this team. Suicune also gives you a Pokemon that has Ice Beam, and you can still run like a Scald with it, and then you can run like Calm Mind Tailwind, or you could run like a Rest set with it. You could run a Protecting set. There's so many different Suicunes that you could do. It's crazy. You could run like Resto Chesto, Suicune. There's a lot of different things you could do with the Suicune just to get that one-time recovery, and kind of have Suicune set up on the opponent. Another good Pokemon is their Tapu Fini. What Tapu Fini allows your team to do is not get status, though you can't status the other enemy, but I didn't build this team to status opponents. I don't have any Spore Setters, anything like that in the enemy team. I don't have Toxic on any of these Pokemon, so I didn't build with the intent of being with statusing, but it gives you the ability to not get paralysis, anything like that, anything that would stop you from getting Will-O-Wisp, anything that would stop your Venusaur or stop one of your Pokemon from sweeping with a Tailwind up or with the Sun up. So Tapu Fini is also a good setup Pokemon. It has good speed control options because it gets Icy Wind, so it definitely has a good option for speed control besides Suicune and Zapdos. I really like the option of running Tapu Fini too on this team. Also Cresselia, going all the way back to Cresselia, if you didn't want to run Trick Room, Sunny Day variant, you could totally run Sunny Day and Icy Wind. So Sunny Day to set the sun to speed up your Pokemon, then Icy Wind to slow down their Pokemon. It's another option for speed control. You can just stack speed control with speed control with speed control with speed control on this team. Just make your team super fast and their team super slow. And then it can get to a point where you don't even need to set Tailwind because speed control, you have so much speed control on your team. The next Pokemon that we ran was our AEGISLASH, which was our Kingsguard. It was a leftover set with stance change. That's AEGISLASH's only ability, allows it to switch between its attack form and its defensive form, which you can see both those on the screen. I gave it Shadow Ball, Flash Cannon, Wide Guard, and King Shield. I ran a specially offensive one, 252 in special attack with a modest nature, 188 points in HP, and 68 points in speed. Now moving to my likes and dislikes of this Pokemon, I loved its Wide Guard and I loved its immunities. Wide Guard was super helpful. There's a lot of things like Heat Wave running around. There's Eruption running around. There's Earthquake, Rock Slide. There's so many spread moves in general that are used in singles and doubles. And the spread moves are even more common in doubles because they hit both Pokemon rather than only hitting one. So the ability to just stop that attack from ever happening is very useful. Wide Guard actually can't fail either unless it's used. Wide Guard can't fail. So if you can just spam Wide Guard, you can just Wide Guard, Wide Guard, Wide Guard, Wide Guard, Wide Guard. Of course, if you Wide Guard, then Protect, I think your Protect has a chance of failing, but if you Protect then Wide Guard, your Wide Guard does not have a chance of failing, which is very good. The immunities are good. It's immune to fighting and it's immune to normal because it gets the ghost typing. A steel type that's immune to fighting is huge. It gets rid of one of its major weaknesses. Really only fire being the other weakness. Now, AEGISLASH paired with the Sun team, not the best option because it does get boosted. One of its main weaknesses gets boosted. Its other main weakness being Dark, of course, gets boosted in the Sun, making it so it really cannot live a fire type attack, period. So it could be bulkier. I kind of felt like its bulk was a little lackluster, and I felt like its speed was lackluster. I feel like it didn't need the 68 points in speed, and I feel like it did need the 188 points in HP. I feel like it would have been better if it had 0 points in speed, 252 points in HP, with a guaranteed Tailwind setter to kind of boost that up. I feel like that would have been a lot better, and that would have done a lot better for my team. Other options you could run for AEGISLASH, instead of leftovers, you could run Ghost DMZ. I've seen a lot of people run Never Ending Nightmare on AEGISLASH. It's a very good option. Another option that I've seen people doing, I saw Sejun build an AEGISLASH that was physically offensive. That is an option. I think in singles you see physically offensive AEGISLASH. I don't play like Ubers ever, so I haven't played against AEGISLASH a ton in singles. I've really only played against it in doubles. It's the length of my experience, but I know that there's a lot of physically offensive AEGISLASH as well. You get Sacred Sword, which is very good for opposing steel types. Iron Head gives you a flinch chance, and then Shadow Sneak gives you priority. So there's very good options on that side as well. You could also run a Phytinium Z with the Sacred Sword or a Steelium Z with the Iron Head. It gives you a lot of different setup options for other Z moves besides just the Ghostium Z if you decide to run a physically offensive AEGISLASH instead of a specially offensive one. Other options that you could run instead of the AEGISLASH would be Heatran, I think would be a big one. Just because even though it would give you another fire type on this team, you'd still be weak to ground, but it would give you another abuser of the sun. Heatran can also do very well in the sun. It also gets flash fire for a fire immunity, and it gets boosted when hit with fire attack. You can also totally have Mega Charizard and Heatran sitting next to each other, and you can flamethrower or overheat your Heatran and get the flash fire boost. You can set up your own Heatran by attacking it with your Charizard. You can totally do that. That's an option too. You can set up yourself. So you can totally like flamethrower yourself and then eruption. Flamethrower, you don't take damage, you get the Flash Fire boost, then you click Eruption, and you do a lot of damage. That is totally an option with Heat Train, even though I don't think Heat Train gets Eruption, so you'd have to hit Heat Wave. It does get it, but it's a transfer move, so it's not viable, so you'd have to click Heat Wave. Still, a lot of damage. Another two Pokemon you can run are Araquanid and Celesteela. What these two Pokemon get, why they're good options instead of Aegislash, is they both get Wide Guard. Celesteela, great VGC Pokemon. It was used a lot in VGC 17. It's probably one of the most used Pokemon in VGC 17. Gets Wide Guard. Araquanid gets Sticky Webs now. Gives you another option for speed control. I don't know how good Sticky Webs are in doubles because there's not as much switching, but the ability to set them up and have any switching period results in a -1 speed. Very good. Araquanid also won regionals by itself because it's so bulky. It's a very bulky Pokemon. A regional championship team had an Araquanid on it. It was very good. Araquanid is a great option. I like Araquanid. I've built a lot of teams with Araquanid, and I like it a lot. It also gets Wide Guard. It's another really good option for a Wide Guard user. And the last Pokemon would be if you just want an offensive Steel type rather than a fast offensive Steel type, rather than an Aegislash. You could also run Mega Metagross. Of course, that would switch around your team. You would also have the same problem as Aegislash, where Fire-type Pokemon would be boosted attacking you, but Mega Metagross is fast. It does super well under Trick Room. Just really strong in the meta right now. I think the majority of teams I faced against have had a Mega Gross on it. It's just a good Pokemon all around. Excuse me. I'm eating breakfast. I ate breakfast before recording this, and that's probably pretty obvious. The next Pokemon on this team that I built was my Mega Altaria Nimbus. I've talked a lot about why I don't like this Pokemon across all the videos, and even in this video I've already talked about it, but it had the Altaria Knight. Natural Cure was its ability before it Mega Evolved. Pixelate was its ability after it Mega Evolved. I ran Natural Cure. In case I got toxic, I could switch out, switch back in, I wouldn't be toxic. That's why I ran Natural Cure before I Mega Evolve. I ran it physically offensive with Giga Impact, Return, Tailwind, Protect. I had to run it physically offensive because I had so many special offensive threats on my team. I had 6 special attackers, so I had to switch to a physically offensive one, which was a 252 Adamant, 252 Speed with 4 in HP. Now let's go to my likes and dislikes. Now, my likes are Tailwind. I've talked a lot about Tailwind, and I'm going to keep talking about Tailwind because Tailwind is so good. Speed control is so good in VGC and in doubles format in general. Speed control is amazing. It's very good. It gives you the ability to just dominate your opponent. And Mega Altaria also was very hard hitting, Fairy, Stab with Giga Impact and Return. 102 base power Fairy move and Return because that was max happiness. And 150, I think, or 180, 150 or 180. Giga Impact is Giga Impact's crazy. I would have to recharge after using Giga Impact, but the biggest dislikes was I couldn't pair it with Sun, so I couldn't Tailwind and Sun, and it was slow and frail. So many times I'd have my Altaria, I'd click Tailwind, and then I would die. I would not get set up Tailwind. I wouldn't get to click an attack. I wouldn't do anything. I'd click Tailwind, I'd die, and it kind of sucked. So I think if Mega Altaria wasn't my Tailwind setter, like I paired it with like one of the other Tailwind setters on this list, or one of the 3 Tailwind setters that are below this one that I have. Also, I'm showing you a lot of different Tailwind setters, and you can totally mix and match all these Tailwind setters. I'm just talking about, I don't want to repeat on every slide. Like I could put Zapdos on this slide, Suicune on this slide, but I don't want to repeat those on every single slide. I just also don't want to see like I'm copying out. I put a lot of thought process into each of these Pokemon and what Pokemon I feel like would have been good replacements for it. So I don't want you to be like, oh, so he really thinks I should run Naganadel because Naganadel's on every slide. I don't want it to seem like that, and I want this to help you a lot while you're team building, and I feel like the more diversity I add in other options and the better reasoning I give for each of these other options, the more likely you are to use them, and the more it'll help you in team building with them and against them. Other move options, there's a huge move pool that Mega Altaria has access to. It has access to Hyper Voice, Ice Beam, Dragon Pulse, Earthquake, Dragon Dance, ton of different things. You can run a setup Mega Altaria instead of running Tailwind. You can run Dragon Dance. You can run a special one with Dragon Pulse, Hyper Voice, Ice Beam, Earthquake instead of Giga Impact on a physical one. There's so many different options you can run for Mega Altaria and be successful with. So Mega Altaria is a good Pokemon, which is why I'm going to build with it again in the future. But I really liked Mega Altaria. I just didn't really like it with this team at all. And I don't want to make this the hate on Mega Altaria, but it didn't do well, and I felt like it was very lackluster. And I think the team was the problem, not the Pokemon. So I'm blaming the team, not blaming the Pokemon, which is why I'm going to reuse Mega Altaria. And it could be that Mega Altaria is just not a Pokemon that I'm going to be good at using, because there are Pokemon out there that I'm just not good with. I'm not very good with Landorus. I'm not very good with, oh man, what's another Pokemon I'm not very good with? There's a lot of Pokemon I'm not very good with that I've tried and I've just hated. Landorus I didn't like. Suicune I didn't like. Oh man, the list goes on and on and on. There's so many Pokemon that I've tried in Draft League format and in doubles that I've used and I just haven't liked, and they just didn't fit my playstyle. And that's something that you need to recognize when you're playing too. If a Pokemon doesn't fit your playstyle, you should replace it, because it's better to replace that Pokemon than to keep using that Pokemon, because if you just keep using that Pokemon, it doesn't fit your playstyle and not being successful with it, all you're doing is hurting yourself. The last thing you should do is be afraid to replace a Pokemon. If Mega Altaria isn't working, replace it with Salamence, Naganadel, Mega Salamence. 3 great dragon types. They all get Tailwind. Very good options. Mega Salamence was what I was going to run on this team, because Salamence would still give me Intimidate. Even when I ran it with Sun, it would still give me the option to Intimidate, and it would still give me a powerful offensive ability. And then I could run it without the Sun, and I could Mega Evolve into Mega Salamence. That was my original plan. Salamence Intimidate's great. I ran an Intimidator on this team, which is the last Pokemon, which I'll talk about next. Salamence is great. You won't see Salamence on that slide as other Intimidators, but Salamence should have been on that slide, but it's on this one instead because it's a very good replacement for a Tailwind setter. Mega Salamence is even better as a replacement for a Tailwind setter. Mega Salamence is so fast, aerially, it's a very good ability, even after it was nerfed. And Naganadel, I have loved Naganadel. I've used 2 teams now that have Naganadel on them, and Naganadel has gotten better with each team. Like, my first Naganadel set was, I think, probably the most standard one you can get. Just Sludge Bomb, Hidden Power, Ice, Tailwind, Protect. With the Focus Sash. I think that's probably about as standard as you can get Naganadel. But as you can see, I ran a Nasty Plotting set, and it also did very well. I ran a Nasty Plot set with the Dragonium Z, and Naganadel did great. I loved it. My Del was so good. It's a very good Tailwind setter. It's very fast, and you have the ability to still run very fast speed with having a higher special attack speed. With a higher special attack stat, so you still get that Beast Boost and physical attack. And it gives you much more reliable Tailwind setup because you get the Tailwind, or because you get the Focus Sash, so you have to get doubled into if they want to take you out. It gives you better control of when you're going to have it. Another option could be normal Altaria with Focus Sash. You could run that if you didn't want to run Mega. I would say Mega Altaria is better because it's Fairy type than the 4 times weak to Ice normal Altaria, but that could be on this slide as well. I didn't add it to the slide, but it could, of course, be on this slide. The next Pokemon, and the last Pokemon on this team, on our Kanto Starter Team, was our Arcanine, our Zuko, with a Citrus Berry, Intimidate, Flare Blitz, Iron Head, Extreme Speed, Protect. 252 Physical Attack, 252 Speed, 4 in Special Defense. This was our replacement for Hydreigon. Hydreigon was originally on the team. I replaced it with Arcanine. This was actually the only replacement that happened on the entire team. I was thinking about replacing Mega Altaria. I didn't end up doing it. I was thinking about placing Blastoise. I switched Blastoise set, and it got way better. And this was also adding another physical threat in the team, because I still, even after I switched Mega Altaria to a physically offensive one rather than a specially offensive one, I still had 5 special attackers on the team. This added a second physical attacker to make me only have 4 special attackers. So my likes and dislikes, I really like the Intimidate. I really liked that it was a strong physical threat, and I really liked the priority that Extreme Speed gave it. There were a lot of games that I won off the back of Arcanine, and I don't think I would have won otherwise Arcanine. It also gave me another Sun Abuser. Intimidate is so good in this format because it gives you the ability to drop to -1. That's why I was talking about with Gyarados, for example, on my other team, is that I would run Intimidate instead of Moxie, because I think that Intimidate is just so good. The value of switching in and out and setting -1 every time you come in is just so high. It gives you such a high ability. Another option for this Pokemon could be Flash Fire too, because you could do the same thing that I was talking about with Heatran, where you set up a Flash Fire boost by attacking it with Charizard. It gets a +1 in special attack, and then you use like a flare, and then you use like a not a Flare Blitz. Then you use a Fire Blast and does a lot of damage. The only thing that I really disliked about this Pokemon, I didn't even write it as a dislike. I read it as a meh, because it wasn't like bad, it was just super lackluster, and that's Iron Head. Iron Head really didn't do what I thought Iron Head was going to do, and it wasn't really as good for Tapu killing as it thought it would be going to be in my mind. So, that being said, other options for Arcanine, you could totally run a Spadef Arcanine, especially defensive Arcanine. Just a bulky Arcanine in general is usually a good option. It's very hard to break. It does so good. Snarl, Flamethrower. I was actually going to switch Flamethrower to Burn Up, but I didn't. I forgot. So it says Flamethrower, but Burn Up should have been in that slot. Flamethrower is also an option for special Arcanine. Burn Up is very good because it removes your weaknesses. But it also removes your stab. It makes you weak to nothing, but it also makes you super effective against nothing, which is pretty good, especially when you have such a bulky wall. And something that can also use Morning Sun to heal itself, and you put a Citrus Berry or Figgy Berry on it, and it's great. Wild Charge would be my replacement for Iron Head. Wild Charge, even though you take damage every time you use it, is so good against water types. Especially when you're in the sun and now the water type is being weakened. Another option, you could also run Arcanine as a manual Sunsetter. You could put bulky Arcanine and put Sunny Day on it. That could also be an option too. I wouldn't recommend it. That's why I didn't put it on the slide. And also Arcanine was already on this team, so I could have added that to this slide. But I don't think that's that good of an option. I was talking against Manual Sun. I think Manual Sun can work in some places, but I don't think it's good in every case. 25% berry like Figgy Berry is definitely a good option instead of the Citrus Berry. It heals a lot more health in Arcanine, especially since it's already bulkier. It gets in that 25% range. It can heal all the way back up, and you have that bulk attached on, especially when you have a lot of moves that do recoil damage. You're very likely to get in that 25% range, so it does give you that option rather than the 50% berry, though I pop Citrus Berry almost every game, so I wasn't complaining about Citrus Berry. It's just another option. Electrium Z or Fire Z are also very good options rather than running the Citrus Berry or the berry at all. Fire Z with my set. Electrium Z would be if you had a Wild Charge. A lot of people don't expect Electric Z coming from Arcanine. You can really catch someone off guard, especially if they have a Milotic. As my words slur together, if they have a Milotic, Electrium Z can do really well against it. It's super strong. Fire Z is just another good option. Other Pokemon options would be Mega Manectric. Mega Manectric gives you a strong electric type, with still giving you Intimidate. Landorus T also gives you Intimidate. Crocodile, way better than it was in VGC 17 because it gets knockoff. It gets access to knockoff again with the move tutors. So that increases Crocodile's viability. Crocodiles also have another bulky option. You can run a bulk up setter, or it could even bulk up Z to get the +2 attack and the +1 in defense. Landorus T, amazing with Assault Vest. It's one of the best Z move users in any format, and it's just all around physically offensive. It's very strong. It also has a special option where you could run it with Sludge Bomb, things like that. It's hard to go wrong with Landorus T. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of using it, but I know it's the best in singles OU. It's the best in draft format. One of the best in draft format, I should say, and it's probably the best in. I know it's the best in doubles OU. It's probably the best in VGC 18 right now. It's just so viable. It has so many options. It's a very good Pokemon. It's hard to go wrong with Landorus. You could easily plug Landorus into this team with the rest of it, and it could do really well. Especially Scarfed, Assault Vested, Banded, Z moved. There's so many options you have with Landorus that you can kind of literally plug and play with Landorus until you get the Landorus variant that you want. So that's it for my analysis. That was the last Pokemon. So there's a ton of options that you can do if you want to build your own Sun team. A lot of different kind of variables that you can play around with. You can plug and play with a lot of these different Pokemon. You can mix and match them too with the other options on the slide and kind of see what fits you best and make your team a little bit more viable than my 4 Kanto Pokemon kind of meme team. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Remember to rate the video, comment the video, and subscribe so you never miss another episode of Chase Talks. Until next time, this is Chase signing off.